So referencing is merely a way to record what book, what video you've watched, which documentary, which article. So here is the one I grew up using was the Chicago style, and there are lots and lots and lots of different styles. There's Harvard citations, there's MLA, there's APA, there's this, that, and the other. The only difference between them is that the layout of them is a little bit different, and different subjects use different ways of doing it, but other than that, it's basically the same. So we're going to use the Chicago way of doing that. And yeah, Chicago citing, it's called CITING. Yeah. And if you do a Google search, it will come up everywhere. So I've just found this website, which I thought was quite good. And it shows you, so when you'll use a footnote. And I'll show you this. I'll go on to a page document in a minute and just type some text. Okay, so we've got, when you are citing it on the page of your document, so you write your essay, you'll put a quote or you will paraphrase an idea. We'll talk about when you footnote something as well and what determines it, because the way they say that you should give evidence in school, especially when you do your English exam, is they say give a quote. That is the primary way that they tell you give evidence. But actually, evidence is also paraphrasing another person's idea, and it's also showing, like, giving information that's not yours. That's also evidence. And you will be doing a lot more of this in these essays, because you're going to be talking about other ways of thinking, so other scholars, other bloggers, or if you were going to, for example, reference Stan Lee talking about Spider-Man, if it's his view, even if you're not doing a quote, but you're paraphrasing, both of those, because they're not your idea, would need a citation to show where you found the information, because he's written lots of things, or he's been quoted in lots of things, or it's, interviewed all the time because he's quite famous. So you'll need to tell me where you found it, who wrote it, because if it's not Stan Lee writing it, then you'll just quote the book or the article of who wrote it. And then you'll do something similar if there's a speech maybe that's made by Sugar Ray Robinson. You would quote the speech and tell them where we got it from, or if it were reported, you would reference that article. Yeah, probably. Well, I would recommend having both, because you want primary and secondary sources. So primary sources are first-hand account. They are first-hand, so they're made at the time of the period in question. So you know that speeches by the boxers is primary source information. Someone commenting on it is secondary source. So whenever you're taking the point of making you aware of this is, whenever you do any notes, make sure you note down exactly where you found it, especially if it's from a book, because you do not want, when you are writing your essay, to then have to go back and trawl through all the books and the articles to try and find that one phrase so you know where it came from. So what I do actually when I am doing notes, so I'm going to go back to, let's say here, 1 second, I'm just going to go back and show you how I do that when I'm referencing. So I'm just going to take one of your brainstorms. So for example, so you've here, when you're talking about Spider-Man, you said Spider-Man special, relatable, bold, design, poor equals normal, roughly. So you found I think you telling that these came from Stan Lee. That's what he said about Spider-Man. Yeah, exactly. So when I do my notes, I would write down if it were the name of an article, so name of book or article. And then I'd by, and then you've got author. And now, with the different offshoots, you've got different points. So I would write down page, I don't know, 5. You've got page 11, etc. next to the points if they're on different points. So that when I go back here and I'm using this in my essay, I'm like, okay, I know exactly where that came from. I know exactly what page number it is. I don't need to go looking through those books again. So be really strict with yourself when you're doing this. The other way to do it is, and the way I used to do it at uni, is if you are, I do one brainstorm for one source. So that you knew, and then I just write page numbers next to the points. So you could do it that way. And then you'll both be looking at documentaries, I'm sure, as well on YouTube. So make sure that you take down the website address, because you'll need the website address for anything that comes from online. If you're looking at Google Books or Google Scholar, Google Books, you won't need the website address. You just need the name of the book, so you'll need author, name of book, the book title, date of publication, the publisher, and the yes, the publisher and the date of publication. I think I've got a sheet somewhere actually, and I'll find it today and I'll put it online on the Dropbox file for the different things you need to remember when you're referencing, so that you can keep a record of them. Oh, and a note on writing notes. When you are writing notes that's from a book or an article or something, don't just copy down word for word what the author has written. If you need a quote that you think is important, write down the quote. But take a look at what they've written, maybe it's a paragraph, and then write down what you've learnt on the page rather than word for word, unless you think a quote will be specifically important. But why do you think this is important? Well, these are your notes, but it does, when you write it in your essay. Yeah, that is part of it. It's also again, it was a really nice way that I found described. You're having a dialogue with the author, you're reading what they've written, and then you're going to repeat back to them, this is what I've learned from what you've said. So it's about your understanding. If you go and copy and paste, so to speak, when you're just copying down exactly what's written, you haven't actually understood what they've said. You've just copied. You haven't said, okay, this is what I understand. This is how I'd say it in my own words. Because the whole point, and this is why teachers say it in your own words, is they want to see what you have learnt. Yeah, it's because when you say it in your own words, you're using language that is understandable to you. And this is also useful when you're looking at opposing views. Because if you copied down opposing views word for word and didn't make an effort to think about them and how you'd explain it in your own words, you wouldn't then be able to fully argue with them, because you have shown that you don't understand what they're actually saying. So do it with those who agree with your point and also those who don't agree with your point, and take down quotes you think will be useful, but always write it in your own words. Let me think. So, okay. I have actually something. I was doing some research on the poor law. So I'm just going to go onto my camera. Okay. Okay, so these are some handwritten notes I did on the poor law. So as you can see, when I'm doing these notes, so I've got my topic in the middle because I did this as well. And I've got, okay, so I've got the main aims. I've just taken down in my own words, what was it? Then I've got, okay, this was the main idea of the poor law, but something happened before. Some notes on details. And then here at the bottom is something that, I write notes really short as well. So use symbols. So I use arrows and equals, and you can do 3 dots like in a triangle like this, and that shows therefore. So as you can see, I'm writing down what I understand in as short a form as possible, because then I know I've understood it, but also I've understood what the article's saying, and then later when I write about it, I am actively recalling information. Oh, it's going the funny way, sorry. And again, I've done the same here with my notes. And also questions. So I've got the articles written something. It said that the main cause of the problem, I think this is the first poor law, I can't remember. No, this is the second poor law. And I've said, but why? That can't be full story. So I'm saying, here's a problem with the article. I don't know what the solution is. This is somewhere I can go next with my research. And this is what I was meaning when I said 3 dots. That means therefore. So rather than writing therefore, you can just put 3 dots. And if you put it the other way round, I think it means because. Or at least that's the way I've been using it. And also see page numbers. And then I put the name of the article, because this was an article, and who it was written by in the middle, so I can find it again. And these articles I usually saved to my computer, so I could always go back to it when I was doing the proper citations. Yeah, and then we've got, and this is how I do a mind map as well. So I've got main point, sub points. So this is the main idea, and these are the thoughts from the author. Quotes, because I thought they'd be useful. Short quote, long quote, name of author in the middle, so that I don't forget which article it's coming from. Okay, I think that is all we're going to do today.